Hi, Vince with Pipedream. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the coolant system. I fabricated the right side last week. I didn't take any video, but I wanted to show you here how it was done. Instead of running flex hose in the back of the car and also the front of the car and around the problem areas, we use pre-bent tubes like these. We cut the 90s, 45s, etc. and follow the bends and contours of the car. So our coolant pipe, right off the waterway here, water pump, all the way to the front of the rad will be one continuous stainless steel pipe, 1.5-inch pipe. I got rid of the measuring tape and all the rest of the doodads and just used the foam brackets and locked everything up in place using the brackets. So the exact distance of the standoffs and everything was calculated with what we're actually using to mount the coolant pipe to the car. Instead of worrying about detailed measurements and stuff like that. So everything was done in place as you see it, and then that was taken to a fabricating table, a nice flat work area, and then you can use a square and a level, tack everything together there. That's the best way to do it. If it fits on the jig table and everything's nice and square, when you take it, put it on the car, everything will be perfect. So keep in mind when you're dealing with these pipes, when you cut on a bend, because these are mandrel bent, the inside of the bend will have a very thick metal thickness on the inside of the bend. On the outside, about half the distance as the inside. So keep in mind when you're tacking and fitting for welding, that could be an issue later when you're welding. I'll give you a quick walk around of it. See, we come off the water pump, nice bends. I wasn't able to do a 45 here and roll up because it hit the frame. The silicone sleeve was put on the pipe before welding. During fabrication, it's very difficult to slide on, so you'll never get it on after the fact. So it has to go on. It's really critical here because that's going to keep heat away from the driver and the engine compartment. So it's more so critical to get the silicone sheeting here than anywhere else in the car. You can see we did 1.5-inch standoffs here for mounting. Again, that's to get as much air moving around all the lines we're going to run here, because there's still AC lines that are going to be run. Come around in here. See the standoffs. We curve into the car. Just a note here, don't roll up too soon. The reason why we rolled up on the inside instead of the outside here was the clearance under the A-arm. It's only maybe 5/16 of an inch. So you got to hug the pipe along that lower profile of the car. Basically, 1/8 to 1/4. You got to follow that line right around. So you're going to have that clearance under that A-arm. Right now, because there's no weight on that car, I mean, that's as low as that arm should go. So that's the reason for having to cut that profile in on the inside and roll up. Driver's side coolant line out here. What I wanted to show you is the final mock-up of that. We got the front section, which we fabricated. And we also broke it down into a rear section, which is fabricated. And this elbow right here, we're using this as a slip joint in the car going around our bend. So you can see everything spaced out on the jig table. This silicone heat shield here is a bit of a pain, so we had to shim everything with 1/4-inch plates. But as long as you do that, you'll be fine. Watch your heights, watch your measurements. It'll get tacked on the table. After it's tacked, it goes back in the car for a final fit. We'll show you that in a few minutes, and then it's ready for welding. Okay, this is the driver's side coolant line fabrication. You can see we come off the top of the water pump, roll down. Our angles didn't quite work out for a 45, so I did a U kind of curve in there. I think it looks pretty good. And that'll roll down into the 90, and we shoot across the rocker. That silicone hose is challenging to work around, so when you're lining it up on a jig table, you have to shim everything. And it takes turn there, 222 degrees on the outside turn and also on the inside turn. You can see there's about an 1/8 of an inch gap there. Same as the other side, and we come around and it turns in, rolls up into the car, and you can see we end up about an inch away, which is good. I may change that. I may want to be a little bit closer, but that's just cutting a new tip for that end. But now keep in mind, once it's tacked on the table like that, and you go to put it in the car, it's going to be a little difficult to get out. So unless the car is on jack stands, you're not going to be able to do it. Out of that rubber boot, so you can see if it was not on jack stands how much trouble it would be to get out.